Hey Geography peeps, welcome to Geography More, where we cover the extra information that didn't quite make it into the previous episodes. We haven't done one of these in a while. So today we are going to cover Austria, Azerbaijan, and the Bahamas. So let's jump into it. Now, one thing I'm surprised, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are surprised about, that I didn't really talk too much about in the Austria video, was about the Austro-Hungarian Empire, one of the most prominent empires in Europe, let alone the world. Now, when Austria was part of this empire, they kind of operated radically different from how they do now. However, one thing that a lot of people don't know too much about are the overseas territories that the empire actually colonized, or at least kind of tried to and attempted to. One of the furthest reaches that the Austro-Hungarian Empire tried to go to were the Nicobar Islands just south of India. The funny thing is, Denmark already kind of laid claims to these islands, but they kind of abandoned it, or at least the empire assumed they abandoned it, so they just kind of jumped in and took over and they colonized it, but then 5 years later they were like, we want to go home, so they kind of just gave up on the whole thing. In addition, the empire also tried to set up stuff on Franz Josef Island in the Arctic, Bankipur in the Bengal areas, a small part of North Borneo, Kovelong, and Ikapur in India, and of course, like other European powers, they tried to take a stab at Tianjin, China. Oh, Tianjin, you're like China's little international correspondent. You don't care who they are, but if they got money, you'll let them in. Also, if you guys saw my April Fool's video where I did a little parody on CGP Grey, you'll notice that in part of it, I mentioned that there was a little micronation. I accidentally said it was in Germany, but it was actually in Austria. It was the Kugelmugel, the spherical house, owned and built by Edwin Lippberger. He was actually protesting the building code laws by the Austrian government that wouldn't allow him to build it. So then he was like, fine, if you're not going to let me build this, then I'm just going to claim independence from this entire country. So let that be a lesson to you kids. If you don't like building code laws, just make your own country. It may or may not work, but I'm just saying, it worked for this guy. A few things that I was actually a little disappointed that I didn't really get to talk too much about are the notable features and places that can be found in Austria, such as, disputably, the world's oldest operating restaurant. St. Peter Stiftskelle opened in 803 AD. There's also the Eisrenwelt, the world's largest ice cave, the Seegrot, the underground chambers that contain Europe's largest subterranean lake, and a lot of other cool places. Austria has a lot of great nature zones. Now, of course, at first glance, Austria might be known for having its opulent, Baroque-style classical architecture, but once every few blocks walking down the street, you might see something a little weird. Austrians are known for making some weird architecture, such as the House Attack building in Vienna, the Kunsthaus Graz in Graz, and even a 5-star prison in the Justizentrum in Leoben. In this prison, each inmate has their own little kitchenette and comfortable seating, as well as access to movies and projectors. It's actually better than even some motels I've been to. Austria is also known for having a lot of places that contain human bones. The Hallstatt Carnel House, the St. Florence Ossuary, the Eggenberg Carnel with the bones of over 2,800 people, and of course, Mozart's skull is on display in Salzburg. As morbid as that whole thing sounds, Austria was actually voted one of the most livable places in the world with their pristine, upscale living and nature zones that are right next to the urban centers. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other things about Austria that I missed even in this video, so please, if you know something extra, put it in the comment section. Otherwise, let's move on. So one thing about the Azerbaijan video that I didn't talk too much about was their relationship with other Turkic countries. We only talked about Turkey really, but they got a lot of other stuff going on. Azerbaijan gets along with a lot of other Turkic countries like Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Kyrgyzstan. There's a little bit of drama though with Turkmenistan, since both sides kind of claim oil reserves in the Caspian Sea, and today the dispute is still kind of going on. Nonetheless, plans are still underway to build a bridge all the way from Kazakhstan to Azerbaijan across the Caspian Sea, all part of the massive New Silk Road project led by China. It's a crazy thing, look it up. Also, it should be mentioned that there are many different types of Turkic peoples. However, two prominent groups that really stick out would have to be the Oguz and the Kupchak. I probably butchered that pronunciation. Kipchak? I don't know. But Oguz people generally tend to have more Western features, whereas the Kupchak have more Asiatic features. Most Azerbaijanis identify as the Oguz Turkic. However, there are some Kupchaks living and residing in the Azerbaijani areas as well. Another thing I forgot to mention is that there's actually more Azerbaijanis living in Iran than there are in Azerbaijan. Even the Ayatollah of Iran is of Azeri descent. Just keep in mind though, Azerbaijanis and Azeris are not necessarily mutually exclusive terms. An Azerbaijani is just someone who lives in Azerbaijan. There could be a French Azerbaijani, a Japanese Azerbaijani, a Jewish Azerbaijani. The point is though that most Azerbaijanis identify as Turkic in their ethnic origin. Okay, cool, got it? Anyway, with about 30 to 35 million people, Azerbaijanis like to call this area of northern Iran South Azerbaijan or Iranian Azerbaijan, but don't say that to an Iranian person. Land and population-wise, this place is actually bigger than Azerbaijan itself. There's quite a few differences between the people in these two areas though. For one, the people in Azerbaijan write in a Latin alphabet, whereas the ones in Iran write in a Perso-Arabic script. The part where tension kind of comes in though is that the Azerbaijanis living in Iran are technically not allowed to open up Azerbaijani speaking institutions, and the teaching of the Azerbaijani language is somewhat restricted. This has been causing a slight tension and conflict between the two states for years. Otherwise, going back to Azerbaijan, there are a lot of cool quirky places, like the Naftalan clinic where people bathe in oil, that weird musical stone in Gobustan, the fire mountain of Yanar Dag, the Yanar Bulag fire spring that emits both fire and water at the same time, that has also even sparked its own religion. Azerbaijan also has a lot of notable poets and literature from authors like Nizami Gankavi and Mohammad Fuzuli, as well as epics like Dede Korkut and Koroglu and so on. In a nutshell, Azerbaijan is kind of caught in the middle between all that Turk, Arab, Persian drama, but hey, at least it'll never be boring. Let's move on. Alright, let's go back to the Caribbean. By the way, just for etymology's sakes, the name Bahamas was derived from the Spanish words Baja Mar, which means shallow sea, which, I mean, makes sense because, I mean, have you seen those shallow sandbanks? I mean, come on. Now, in the Bahamas episode, I talked a lot about what the dry land looked like. However, just as equally notable would have to be the underwater zones. The Bahamas has a lot of cool spots below sea level. The Bimini Road, people have called this location the underwater road to a possible Atlantis. The SS Sapona, a sunken ship that kind of became like an accidental underwater playground with amazing scuba spots. There's also the Rockers Point Settlement plane wreck near Staniel Key. But then you get to Dean's Blue Hole. This place is the world's deepest known saltwater blue hole with an entrance that plunges down 202 meters. Then when you get to Andros and Grand Bahama, you find something really cool. You find a series of subsurface Bahamian caves. The longest underwater cave system in the world can be found in Lucayan National Park on Grand Bahama. One thing I didn't really talk too much about though was that the Bahamas is kind of like a weird US-UK impact zone. Because it was part of the British Empire, you can still kind of see some of the cultural traits that were retained. For example, they love cricket and they drive on the right side of the road, but they still use the A and B type of plug outlets that are used in the US, plus almost all of their TV is American programming. Also, even weirder, half the cars have steering wheels on the right side and half of them have them on the left side. It's weird. Now, of course, the majority of the country is black. However, the noticeable 6-ish% white population that resides in the country, most of them are actually descendants of the English Puritans or American Loyalists from centuries ago. By the way, quick reference point, an American Loyalist was someone who was loyal to the British Crown and Empire and not America during the Revolutionary times, and a lot of them moved to the Bahamas. So that's what it's referencing, so just clearing that up. It's just crazy to see how much of a cultural dynamic that both the US and the UK have sculpted into the Bahamas. Alright, so that's about it. If I missed any really good crucial information, which I probably did a lot of, please feel free to write anything in the comments if you find something interesting about the Bahamas or Austria or Azerbaijan that I missed out on. So that's it for this episode. The next one will be on Bahrain, Bangladesh, and Barbados. In the meantime, thanks for tuning in for this episode of Geography More. The next episode of Geography Now will be up next week, Denmark! So, stay tuned, and thank you for liking this channel. Subscribe if you want. Alright, have a good one.